Shut up and sit down.
It's where the big boys play. SICW.
Welcome to Spurry Podcast, everybody. Episode 87. Last time I made an error. Today we're going to be talking about a few WWE, AEW things, but also our match that we had, our end of the year blowout on the 23rd. How's it going? With me, as always, the Texan, Jim Hoffarth, and Belleville's own Bobby D. How's it going, guys?
Pretty good.
Really
It's been busy.
Yeah. Definitely on his case, busy. I'm not busy. I'm too old for busy nowadays.
Well, I mean, we alluded to it there, but, we had a busy weekend.
That's true.
And if anybody goes and they can see the mystery of who poured the champagne on her.
Why
I forgot that. I was going to bring that up.
I mean, we can get into that later after we find out who won and all that.
And discover who was the person, because clearly none of us here in the podcast would ever do something like that.
I can tell you this. I know who it was that drenched me in champagne, and it was somebody on the podcast, and I think they did it on purpose.
Well, let's just start off with the big match of the night then. So we had Team USA, basically, which was Gary Jackson, Ron Powers, and Danny Boy Hawkins, versus the Faces of Death, which is the Barbarian, HAKU, and Attila Khan, with some a special guest. Bob Orton Jr. was handcuffed to Stephen E. And that match was crazy. I don't know, Nate, if you want to start the intro of that match.
First I have Cowboy Bob Orton's walkout. And remember, everybody, this is our action cam raw footage, so it is a little bit dark in some places, pretty much the beginning.
Well, and to that, I mean, we were in the big hall, which is, as you can see, we turned all the other lights off and just got those globe lights. It's pretty cool.
And I hate those damn globe lights. Over and over, I've requested for them to take that shit out.
Well, they won't do it because it makes it so cool looking. It's just
like
hard to film.
I'm sure it's hard on the cameras, but it does look cool when you're out there.
Yeah, well, they can put the lights in from wrestling at Park Chase Plaza with them starlight.
Now, I will tell you, I was sitting down close to Bob Orton when his music started playing, and everyone was like, "Bob, is that your music?" And he was like, "Oh, yeah." And then he hops up. So that's what actually took Bob a little bit of time to get out to the audience. We didn't know that they had started, because literally this was intermission, and then bam, they started this match.
Now, to his credit, he jumped up like that and went out there, and he was right on to what he needed to do. Like, didn't need no warm up or nothing like that. He is a professional.
Yeah, definitely.
Wearing his WWE hat.
Well, his boy's still in it, so.
Yeah, but they're going to be watching this and then try to claim something, and we're going to be shadow banned for another 3 months because they saw their logo on our podcast.
Well,
that's how petty they're getting.
Once they see Bob wearing it, I think they'll be okay with it. Anyway,
the next one is the Faces of Fear with Attila Khan, named the Faces of Death. That would be MENG, aka HAKU, the Barbarian, and Attila Khan with Stephen E. and the spawn of Kong Brody Cup.
Now we got dark.
Completely blacked out shit.
I was gonna say, I don't know how to do any of this stuff. That's all your expertise, Nathan. But can you put a blur on the logo on his hat?
Yeah, I can, but
I mean, that's how they do it. If you watch some of their older stuff, they just put a blur like on each ring corner, on the mat, everything.
Yeah, I could, but that'll take more time than I care to put in. I have to heighten the footage before combining it all and sending it out, and I need the overhead cam footage from Brian.
But we probably don't want to play it all just because, again, we don't want to get a copyright. Well, I guess it's on YouTube, so they can't copyright.
Well, it's allowed on YouTube. It'll just not be allowed in Crimea and Cuba and Iran. Those are the last one. Those are the regions that we're not allowed to broadcast in. So
I gotta be broadcasting Cuban. I do like those Cuban women.
I love Cuba. Cuba.
Just because you
Everything I
love
know-
them doesn't mean they love you.
They don't.
I mean, most of what I know about Cuba comes from McHale's Navy, so.
Cigars are good though. And look at HAKU. He's bouncing like a rookie.
That guy does not miss a beat.
I tell you what, too, Barbarian, I can tell you he hasn't missed a beat yet either. He might not be as young and muscular as he used to be because he was a brick shithouse, but he's still a big boy.
Yeah,
I say he looks methodical and evil. Like
right?
That's Barbarian.
Well, you're going to see it in this one because this is the Team USA walkout with all the shenanigans that happened before the match started. So this one's going to be a little bit longer. About 4 minutes or so.
When I was in the back listening to this music, this was, Kerry Von Erich's music back when he was back in Texas, and that was Ted Nugent, man. Stranglehold, such a cool song.
WCCW days.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we do got to shout out some of the people in the crowd that came to the TV table and let us know if they're watching. Scott in Steele, Missouri. Hope you watched your requested content we put out this morning. And one of Sam and Larry's old friends came by and said hi to us.
Well, I'll tell you what, Maddie was it McLean or Clain? He was in the show that night in the audience. Our friend was it Chris Owens. He was there. And matter of fact, he just on Facebook today was showing off some of his newly bought posters. One of them was the WrestleMania 3 of Hogan versus Andre.
That's a good drive for him.
Yeah. Even for Maddie.
Here comes Stephen E. messing with the cameraman, but it's kind of the cameraman's fault because he's getting way too damn close. Yeah, I saw Chris. He didn't come by to say hi. He still owes me that picture.
Yeah, so this happened before the bell even started. The bell didn't even ring yet.
They're not waiting around.
Little Attila, Ron Powers action. Into the crowd. Just say, how you doing?
So as I was watching this backstage, everyone was actually watching this. Because this is, of course, the match that meant the most to everyone. Because the ownership of SICW was on the line.
Yeah, it's literally implications for every single person in the locker room.
Right. But there's a part, I don't know if the Roman guy got it, but Ron got a little chair happy. Yeah, look at that. Wow.
We have some Ron chair music. You see that crowd? It's awesome seeing them laugh and have a good time with that. And then here's
our
our
first chair shot. I was like, whoo! But And I
Jason
don't know if
laughing.
it shows, but those chair shots actually busted Attila open right from the get-go.
Yeah. I didn't see it,
I
even though
said
I've watched this footage multiple times, but
when HAKU just threw that chair and did it hit Gary?
Yes, it
he
did.
hit him in the
He
head and
dropped
shoulder. I was waiting for
That's what I'm
Haku to
talking about.
bite his foot.
I'm talking about HAKU's always dangerous. You can throw a chair and it's hit you.
Remember, folks, this is before the match even started. This is just a feeling out period, I guess you could say.
Right.
I did put a short up to be going out with a little bit of the action from Haku being back in the ring.
Yeah, so that match, like I said, everyone was watching it. Everything was on the line for everyone. It dealt with the control of SICW. And just from that clip of the action before the match even started, I mean, that was just the tip. There was so much action because there's 6 people. And if you count Bob and Stephen E., because you can see them fighting back and forth. And when Stephen E. wanted to try to interfere, Bob was pulling him back. But do you have more of it, or?
Well, this is the short that I made and put out. It'll be out and running before the podcast airs, so we can air it now.
Sure.
This is just a shorts compilation of Haku being back in the ring after all those years out. The 2-minute one, because YouTube now allows up to 3 minutes on their shorts, which is great for us. I tell you though, it was great to hear Haku's grunts and yells and self-power. Gary having some problems. I think where Austin Powers got his judo chop from.
Well, normally, well, I guess that was how Kuda threw it, huh?
Yep. Danny Boy is so much more smaller than everybody else.
Oh, yeah. He definitely had his work cut out for him. But, he's been fighting that battle his whole wrestling career.
It's funny. One of our referees, Bill, he said something about Lilith. We were talking about Lilith wrestling. And he said something about her wrestling me. And I go, yeah, if she calls me out, I'll get in the ring. It's only a 3-foot difference.
I'm sure you'll last at least 1 or 2 minutes, depending on how fast you can run away from her.
And I'll pretend that the body slams actually hurt. I'll say, no, please, no. This was great to see again, but not good for Gary. Double clothesline from the Faces of Fear. Should elbow drop and held him right off the ring. Was a finisher back in the day the shooting star, or am I thinking about a different type of wrestling move?
Yeah, I don't think it definitely wasn't the shooting star. He he was known for having a head that can take punishment. So he was doing a lot of head bunts, a lot of diving head bunts as well. But then when he went to WCW as MENG, he was it was like a Tongan. What do you call that, Bobby?
The Tongan death
grip.
grip. Yep.
So yeah, definitely a cool match. If you guys didn't see it, you'll probably never see the whole thing. But it was a very cool match, and I would love to say that the good guys won. So down at the end of the match, it came down to Ron Powers and Attila, and Ron had him in a sleeper, and the second ref, because they went through one ref. The second ref was doing the whole, lifting Attila's arm up, and it dropped twice, and everyone was on pins and needles. Was it going to drop again? And sure enough, it did. So they awarded the match to the good guys. Now,
and I would like to think that Ron doing a finisher as the sleeper was direct result of our podcast saying on what finishers we don't see anymore that we want to see again. Even if it's not true, I want to say it.
I'm going to have to interject here because Ron's been training jiu-jitsu, and that was clearly a head and arm choke, not a sleeper hold.
Oh, okay. Okay, you got me. I was watching it from the back, so.
But it does put you to sleep if that helps.
Well, then it did its job.
Semantics, Bobby.
I'd say it's the same from a standing position, the same thing that Brock Lesnar finished Cain Velasquez with.
Okay. Well, it did end with Attila laying on the mat, and they laid the American flag right on top of his body, kind of like they were doing with the Saudi Arabian flag. So it was a good ending. Of course, the Simmons family got up in the ring afterwards. Talking about one hell of a celebration. All the family members, they were all in attendance. They all got into the ring celebrating. Definitely thanking Ron Powers and Danny Boy and Gary and Bob. Even all of us, came down to the ring and circled the ring to help celebrate. And the fans, even though the show was over, the fans stuck around.
Wondering.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I said I wasn't invited in case anybody's wondering. You rat bastards. No.
But yeah, so it was a well-needed win for the good guys. Because who knows how SICW would be looking in 2025 under the leadership of Stephen E. But we don't have to, because Herb Simmons' team won, and Herb Simmons is not selling SICW. And there's already some dates released.
Now that's what we can worry about is the cool stuff that Herb's going to, plan out for us.
Right. Now, he's already released some of the NASCAR dates. He's already released some of the home shows. There are some hints and rumors about a fan fest, but nothing in concrete yet. But man, it'd be so cool if he did another fan fest. Probably won't be as big as last year's, because last year's was a little fiasco with 60 legends. I mean, it was cool for the fans because it was 60 legends, but a lot of people, had to help out to get these legends back and forth from the airport and shuttle them around the place. And so 60 was probably too many. So if he does one, I don't know how big he'll go or where he'll go, but it'd be kind of cool if we have one, because I think that's been the claim of fame for SICW. I mean, not that many local regional shows, put on a fan fest with legends and the Hall of Fame attached to it. In our case, it's the St. Louis Hall of Fame, which Bob Orton Jr. Was in it last year and brought his whole family. So, Randy was there, and his sister and his brother, and of course the mother. Everyone was there to celebrate Bob Orton Jr. going into the St. Louis Hall of Fame.
And this is to clear up some controversy.
I knew the answer to that question immediately on who did it, because there's also another photo where I'm like looking away, drinking, I'm thinking the whole time, did he really just do that?
Well, let's check the record here on what happened.
Who poured the champagne on Mr. Herb Simmons? That's the controversy.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're here. Team SICW.
There goes Bobby spraying me for some damn reason. Oh, here we go, and
yeah. What the hell?
It was totally Ron Powers.
I saw a big guy behind there though.
Team SICW got the job done.
Well, I'll tell you what, in the pictures that people were taking, there was a picture of Gary Jackson watching the mystery person who poured, the champagne over Herb Simmons' head. And his face says 1,000 words, But, definitely it was Bobby D who did it. And, there's a picture of Herb Simmons even looking at Bobby D like, what the hell did you just do? So
he might have actually thought I did it.
He probably didn't.
All I know is whoever did it was probably just doing it in a celebration type of way. And Herb Simmons being the owner and boss of SICW, it's just like a football or a basketball, NBA, teams. They do that as a celebration. They always dump the Gatorade cooler over the coach's head, and whoever did that was probably just thinking that that's how it should have been. So,
are you putting out your plea not to get fired?
I think he's putting out his plea to get another title shot.
It was. It was definitely Gary Jackson who did that. So, hopefully Herb doesn't fire Gary Jackson for doing that. I like to say that person that did it, whoever it be, Bob Orton Jr., probably deserves props for having balls to do it. That's all I'm going to say.
I'd say Bob Orton's more possible than Gary, because it was at a pretty high angle.
Even on his tippy toes, I'm not sure Gary can reach as high as you just pouring it out over your head.
Oh, that's
as whoever poured it out.
Right. It was probably
allegedly, Joey. Sorry, whoever poured it out.
Joey was standing next to me, so it was probably Joey that was doing that. If I remember correctly,
I saw Destiny over there. Maybe it was her.
Yeah.
Again, much taller angle.
All right, so yeah, definitely a great night for SICW. So technically it was a great night for me and Bobby, but technically it had a downside for me and Bobby as well, because we both had our return title shots. Me going for the Classic, you going for the Central States. And it didn't turn out good for either one of us. With me going against Kowalski, I did have some interference. Lucky P got involved. I did get to strike Lucky P, so I did, grab him before he can actually use the tire iron to interfere. And I smacked him. Well, I didn't smack him. I balled up my fist and clocked him one, which, of course, he fell. Tire and iron fell as well. The only downside is I had took my attention off of Kowalski and was looking at Lucky P, and Kowalski was able to squash me into the corner, and then he was able to do his little bomb that he does off of the corner to really just blew the air out of my chest, and I was like sucking air when the ref was counting to 3.
That was a Nagasaki bomb. That wasn't a little bomb.
Yeah.
That was straight nuclear. When a mountain hits you.
Bobby had the 2 out of 3. So how did that go for you? We already know the results, but
I didn't actually lose anything. So if for those that were there, like as soon as his music hit and he came through that entrance, my eyes locked on him and never came off. Like I was ready for my revenge. Came out like a ball of fire. Got a pretty quick pin in about 5 minutes for the first one. The second go was he went to hit me with a running crossbody, and I stumbled, and he went over the top rope, which should have been momentum, not me throwing him over like they counted it as. So there was he won by DQ there, which should not have been DQ, but whatever. There's one more fall to go. Right when I get him locked in the sharpshooter and about to get the victory, he had Trent Daniels hit me from behind, and I won by DQ on the third fall. But titles don't change hands from disqualification.
So you technically got screwed twice.
Yeah. Yes. 100%. That's what I say. Like, everybody hears about, King of Strong Style, Shinsuke Nakamura and all that. That boy is the king of luck style.
Well, I think his luck is just that he goes around with 2 other people, Trent Daniels and Sean Vincent.
Oh, but that crossbody where he fell over the top for momentum. And he didn't use that. That was just some pure stupid luck on his part that the ref miscalled that.
Yeah.
He also spent the first year of his wrestling career losing. A full year of losses. He built up a little bit of luck.
King of luck style.
Yep.
However, since I won the match, hopefully in the new year I get another title shot.
Well, I'm sure that
Saturday night, Herb announced our first match in January. Was it the 19th or is it sooner? When is it?
The 10th.
The 10th?
Yeah, January 10th will be our first date back at the Belleville Fairgrounds again. Be the start of a new year, and just
that's
great
right,
possibilities.
Because you said it was on a Friday, something different.
Yeah, because I want to say of course I'm using my phone, so I can't double check, but I want to say it's the 10th, and then the 11th, and then the 12th we have our TV tapings. So we kind of get a break in between. But that's I think that's just because something's happening on the fairgrounds on the 11th. So we just bypass that, and we're having our show on Friday. But what I was going to say, and I think I kind of forgot it now. Yeah, so the show Saturday was great overall. We had a tag team match, Chris Wilde and his tag team partner, Billy McNeil. Thank you. They retained the championships, and they went against Painters and Uber Destroyer. Let's see here. There was another match. I think Rick Ruby went against Jason Breed, and I want to say Jason Breed won that. And I think that was with a crossbody. Matter of fact, I think that was coming out of the corner with a crossbody. There was a couple other matches. Trent Daniels had one. Who did he go against? Oh, Brandon Beretta. And Brandon Beretta, got him. He is all strictly business right now, and you can totally see that in the ring. Because he was just hammering Trent Daniels. of course, after the match, Brandon got the mic and talked about how, well, not how, but where he's going. So having those matches with the NWA, having those matches with OVW. So definitely look for Brandon Beretta to be doing bigger shows for other organizations. Not bigger shows, but mainstay shows, more NWA.
Platform.
He's already been doing some extra work for AEW, which I wanted to talk to him because AEW is coming to St. Louis. I wanted to see if he was going to do some work for them that day. But yeah, overall, it was a great show. It was such a sellout. We set up the normal chairs, and we had to go grab another roll of chairs, and then we had to grab a second one. And when I say a roll, it's one of those carts full of chairs. So we had to get a second one, and then we had to get a third one started. So,
and then people sat on the damn floor anyway.
Yeah. The fans showed up in flocks, and it was great. Like I said, we had a bunch of friends show up. A lot of family members show up too, because it was the big last show of the year, and so much was on the line, so everyone wanted to see what was going to happen. And for the fans that came there, I think they had a great time because they were so loud. It was great. I'm sure besides us showing some clips and probably some matches from it, you can always go to SICW on YouTube as well, and they'll probably have some more recaps of that show.
In fact, their next SICW's next TV show that they're putting out is all of our footage from the 23rd.
Yeah, so this
and
is a
then
show.
After that, we will have on our YouTube the whole show, but in segments with different editing and just our spin, our touch.
Right. Like I said, it's a show that people are going to talk about for a long time. So much was on the line, and so many Hall of Famers are there for it. So, very cool show.
And I will
if you
say,
weren't there, I feel sorry for you.
I'm going to toot my own horn a little bit here, because it was sour grapes for the finish of my match, so I got to have a positive. I did have 2 fans reach out and tell me that they thought my match was the match of the night. So that was cool. With everything going on, that 2 would reach out and say that.
That is awesome, Bobby, and I hope it didn't cost you too much.
Well, not to change the subject, but we got to get moving on. And SICW is our big portion of our careers and our wrestling life. But there's some other things I want to kind of touch up on tonight. One is just a rumor. We had, was it Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson on Netflix, and we talked about this the last couple of podcasts that we had. But there's rumors that we might see a Logan Paul with some sort of confrontation with Mike Tyson, whether it be in a WWE ring this time, or maybe outsourced and done with Jake's, boxing. What would you call that? It's not, because it's like a sports entity. It's I can't. I'm lost for words for what I want to explain. Kind of like how TKO is like the parent company of WWE and UFC. Jake has that.
Whatever their.
Yeah, I can't think of the name of their promotions thing, but I don't know if it'll be under their promotion or if it'll be under WWE. But that Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson made a lot of money for both of them. Made a lot of money for Netflix. So they're already talking about trying to get Logan Paul mixed in there somehow too. When they did the backstage interview with Jake Paul, Logan was there and he was trying to hype them all up and everything. So it looks like there might be something, but at least that's just the rumor mill.
He's not going to want it in the WWE ring because if you remember correctly, Mike Tyson's part of DX.
Yeah, that's true. But both members of DX technically don't wrestle anymore, and one officially can't because he's got a. I don't think Hunter's got a pacemaker, but I think he's got one of those shockers, defibrillator. So he should.
He can bring out that sledgehammer and distract a ref, though.
Yeah, that's true. You never know what can happen in a ring. But yeah, so I mean, and Mike Tyson's been even at AEW too, so you never know where it could happen, who can show up. But that's just a rumor going around. Also, keeping with the WWE stuff for a little bit here, they announced that they have started an IC title for the women's division. So, Intercontinental title for the women's. Just wanted to get your guys' feedback on that. Do you think there's enough women in the WWE to even offer that title? Because the title was originally just the men's title. That was used as a stepping stone to get to the world championship title. And the likes of Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, and even Stone Cold and Bret Hart, Macho Man. That was their stepping stone. Does the women division, is that big enough to where it needs a stepping stone to that title, to that world title?
I would say two parts to it. One, yes, it is. They got plenty of divas there or women wrestlers. The problem is, are they going to give them the screen time to get over?
Right.
Like that's the big
true.
thing is they don't give the women enough screen time. And aren't they talking about going back down to 2 hours on Raw?
Well, that's the thing. Netflix is still in the air that they were thinking about going back to 3 hours as soon as it starts on Netflix. That they were only giving USA 2 hours for the rest of the year. So, I mean, it could open up some more screen time. I just don't know if, like, the Raw brand has enough women on it to carry tag titles, the World Championship, and the Intercontinental Championship.
I think there's a lot that don't get used, plus you can still bring up from NXT. But there's the second part of it, is men have IC title, but then on the other show, they also have a US title. So are they going to do that the same as the women? Like, are they going to bring another title over there? And now we're going to start running the NWA territory where we have 25 titles?
Right. Well, even for that, there's AEW has got so many freaking titles.
And it becomes to where the titles don't mean anything when there's so many.
Right. And, say...
Keep in mind, Bobby's not saying women titles don't mean anything in case there's any woke people out there watching.
No, I'm saying the titles in general, like all of them. Like when there's so many, all of them lose luster, even the top one.
And what I was going to say was, that's 6 titles per show, because each one has got a heavyweight or a world's title, because you really can't say the women's title is a heavyweight title. So the main 2 championships, each one has a tag team. Now each one will have an Intercontinental or US maybe. So that's 6 titles. If you're keeping you would think each title would have a storyline behind it. So you would think they would need to at least carry the storyline each week. So what's left? You might get 1 or 2 matches from a non-title match on the show.
I was going to say, and that's the other part. Not just your champion story, but you have to start building the talent below it too.
Right.
Like this building
up the challenge.
I'll second Bobby on that one. It could work if they provide the storyline and the time, which means they have to reduce time from the men's, or increase it to a 3.5, 4-hour show. And I just don't think there's a market for that, even for the WWE.
That's probably when I stopped watching Raw. Is I gave it a shot for a while when it went to 3 hours, but it was just too much. Like to set aside 3 hours of your night. like I will say, it's when my kids started doing a lot of stuff, so that made it even harder to set away 3 hours. But
Right.
Yeah, but you have to be invested for 4 hours if they put as equal time into each storyline, into each title. And like you guys said, that many titles make them pretty much useless.
and the other show is still only 2 hours.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so that might not
Yeah.
make them do a U.S. title on SmackDown just because of that. Because right
So
now,
you
their
guys
main
think,
storyline on SmackDown doesn't even involve a title. That's the Bloodline storyline, and none of them have titles right now.
well, do you
So
guys think they've reached a saturation point yet, or is that still coming?
It will.
for the Bloodline,
So what it immediately made me think of is I used to be huge into the UFC and watching, I watched the Ultimate Fighter every week. I was watching every pay-per-view I could. And then they added 10 titles with lighter weights, plus all the women and everything. And it just got to a point where I didn't care to even try to keep up anymore.
yeah, because sometimes they even had the Phantom, could it be the world champion, but he didn't beat the guy who had it originally. So is he really the champion?
Yeah. The paper champion.
Right, right. Still keeping up with WWE. There's one more story. New Day. So this past Monday, they had the New Day having a lot of friction. But on top of that, there's rumors that Big E is coming back next week. And
thought he was permanently injured.
So that's what I thought too, because he had broke his neck. However, they kind of dropped hints that Big E was going to return. Now, maybe it's just a return to broadcasting like he's kind of been sometimes on the pay-per-views. Maybe he's coming to Raw for that, or maybe he's going to be a manager. But on Monday, they had a big thing where the New Day was kind of arguing at each other. And everyone is thinking they're going to break up. Now, I think, back in the day when they were all separate, there weren't the New Day. They weren't getting pushed on the cards as much, and they had to come together to actually get them known, get them noticed. And they've been multi-time tag champions, however, because there's 3 of them. So whoever decided to wrestle or was able to wrestle, it's kind of like the Freeburg rule. 82 of those members could defend the tag titles. But then, Stevie, woo! Big E got hurt, so he's been sidelined. So
They don't even look the same.
Right?
Height difference.
Anyhow, what I'm trying to get to is Xavier Woods, I think, will benefit from the New Day breaking up. Xavier Woods was like the leader of the New Day, but really hasn't been able to break out of the tag team role. I can't, the other guy's name escapes me. The guy
Kingston.
Kofi Kingston. He was a world champion. He was able to get to that peak, even though it wasn't long because he ended up fighting Brock Lesnar and just lost the title in seconds. But Xavier Woods never was able to reach that high. So maybe this is a way that they can start pushing him out of the tag team fold, kind of like how they did with Jimmy and Jay Uso. They broke up that tag team, and now, both of them reached higher points, and now they're back together. So maybe this is something that the New Day can do. They can break away for a little while, go their separate ways, get some single titles under their belts, and then come back, down the road.
I find New Day entertaining, and I think it would be good if Big E and Kofi stayed together, because I just never could get behind either one of them as a singles.
Yeah.
However, Xavier Woods, back when TNA was at its peak and he was still there as Consequences Creed, he was a great individual competitor. And like the dude's super smart. Like I remember them talking on air about he was going full time to school to get his master's degree in psychology.
Yeah.
Like he's a smart dude. He puts the work in, and I think he could have a really good singles run.
I think so too. I don't think he's been used properly. I think they used him as a comedic role, playing the
And he
trombone
knocked it
or
out.
whatever it was. But yeah, and it definitely, built his years in the business because most people only have 1 or 2 years on the average, unless you are just a standout character, or if you don't mind being in the mid card. Then you might be able to get, 4 or 5, maybe 6 years. So the time up there is short for just about everyone. And he's had a long career there. Plus, he had the TNA days. So he's had a very long career as a wrestler. So I think he deserves a push. Get him the Intercontinental title or get him a world title. I think he deserves it. But yeah, so those are the big things for the WWE. Kind of, well, you threw the AEW sign up there, so we'll switch to AEW.
Yeah,
So
but that
Bobby,
sign's been up there 10 times.
Has it? Maybe I just now noticed it. Coming from Tony Khan, he announced on an interview that he gave what he considers basically the head of AEW, or which wrestler stood out to him that AEW wouldn't be able to survive if they didn't have. Can you take a guess on who Tony Khan was talking about?
I'm going to go off the controversy of his little baby boy, Jack Perry.
No, unfortunately,
If I
it
had to
wasn't
take
Jack
a
Perry.
real guess, like the real glue that probably holds that company together is Chris Jericho, but I don't think he's smart enough to know that.
And he's not, because he didn't say Chris Jericho, which you would think he would have, because I think Chris Jericho, wasn't he the first champion?
I don't know if he's the first champion, but he's like in the beginning, and like he's put so many guys over and done so much for getting them over.
So he named John Moxley. And he gave some examples. And he was there from the beginning, kind of. He didn't wrestle, but he came out during the main event and interfered. Maybe that was Double or Nothing. Maybe he missed the first one. But he definitely said Johnny Moxley, man, I can't even pronounce his name, because he's the guy that he goes to, that if they have a problem with the championship, they put it back on him. Like MJF went out, got hurt, they put it back on John Moxley. The CM Punk little scandal with him and Kenny Omega and the Thigh Slappers. Punk was the champion during that time, and then I think he eventually lost it, but he was still in the main event for the championship. So when they let everyone, put a halt on that and suspended everyone, Moxley was on vacation, and they pulled him off of vacation to throw the strap